All right. Back to the fisheye.
All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Thursday at 3 p.m. Q&A session. And we're going to be doing a little bit of a change here. In the past, it was Tuesdays at 3 p.m. We've launched this for about 1 month. It's been a lot of fun. It's been a little bit of a success. Guys, we're still getting going. So if you like this, please click heart, click love, write a comment. It does take a while to build anything. We want to do this for the long haul because I know some realtors that I train with across the country do it, and they found a lot of value in it. And more importantly, their clients, their friends are getting questions answered. So please click heart, click like. Thursday at 3 p.m. And the reason we changed is Facebook Analytics says Tuesday at 3 p.m. You guys are all at work. You are busy. So we want to switch it to a time more convenient for you. And until we get some questions coming in or something we're all excited to talk about is just the actual closing or settlement. What's the difference between the two? Title attorney, closing attorney. David Robertson, closing attorney with Universal Titles, can take the lead on this one. We have Greg Simmons, our mortgage lender.
Okay, well, terminology first, I guess. What is the difference between settlement and closing? None. It's exactly the same thing. What's a closing attorney and a settlement attorney? Same thing. But a lot of people, if they've never been through a settlement, they, of course, don't know what to expect, or they've heard some horror stories from their family members or friends. They say, oh, it was awful. I went to settlement. It lasted 4 hours. I was fighting with the seller, and finally we got the keys, and it was a terrible experience. That's usually not how it goes.
Very relaxed, yeah.
Yeah, in our experience, it's all smooth. Usually it goes smooth because what had to happen beforehand. All the prep work is done. Guys like Greg and Mike, they'll put things together and make sure it's all what everyone expected. So when you show up to closing, if you're a buyer, you'll be probably bringing a cashier's check, or you'll wire your funds. Bring your photo ID, and you just get ready to sign. We go through numbers. We go through all the paperwork. The numbers shouldn't be a surprise. You would have had those numbers at least a couple of days before settlement. So
3 business days.
Thank you, Greg.
At least 3 business days.
3 business days. So you'll know exactly what to expect. We go through the numbers again just to see if there are any questions. But often when I'm sitting at settlement, people say, yep, I've seen it. It's all what I expected. And so closings usually are really great times. You get the keys, everybody's happy, it's nice and smooth.
Taking pictures and high-fiving.
It's
a day you should remember the rest of your life and really enjoy.
It's fun. It really is good. So I hope that can alleviate some of the anxiety out there about what happens at settlement. It's really, usually it's fine, almost always. It's just what people expected. If you want to know from a technical standpoint what's happening, is, a few weeks before settlement, you sign a contract to buy a home, or you sign a contract to sell a home. The final part of completing the contract is when you go to settlement. That's it. Pay the money if you're the buyer, seller sign the deed, hand over the keys, and a few other papers, maybe 1 or 2, and then you're done. That's really all.
Every state is done a little differently. Buyer, you own the house that day. You can go in and move in that day, leave closing with the truck. It's yours.
That's right.
And as a lender, I really enjoy going to closing. A lot of my counterparts don't make it an active part of their job.
Yeah.
But I go to almost every single one of my purchase closings unless I'm double booked or out of town. Like Mike and David said, it's really a cause for celebration. It's the happiest part of the real estate transaction. So I really enjoy being there and being a part of it, and getting to meet clients face to face. In the lending process, a lot of it is done online over text message, email, phone calls, stuff like that. So it's nice to actually meet folks.
Mm-hmm.
It's great. And I think you're right. I think a lot of people don't add that personal touch. I think they really appreciate having you there. I'm usually physically the face with the clients doing everything. I'm done, unless we find something at the final walkthrough. I usually just sit there and just keep them company, but they might have some questions about the loan, et cetera.
Yeah.
And so they really appreciate having David and Greg's expertise there. I think just to add a little drama to it, it wasn't quite always the rule having docs and everything in advance 3 days. Sometimes the attorney would get their closing docs 30 minutes before closing, or we'd find mistakes, or I'd have clients that their lender, if they weren't using my preferred lender, might change the rate on them that morning, or terms or closing fees. This was normal business pre-recession. It was scary. It was kind of the Wild West. It's kind of hard to believe it existed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lots of federal regulations have been mandated. It's actually the law that lenders get these closing numbers to clients at least 3 business days before closing. First Savings' stance on it is we try to get the numbers to people at least a full week before settlement.
Mm-hmm.
And then again, it's better to be kind of twiddling your thumbs waiting for the days to pass before closing than to have, last minute issues come up. So the more we can do, up front, to knock it out early, just sit
Your
back
clients
and
are putting a
relax.
lot of trust into us, and we do this every day for them. They are nervous. It's just a whirlwind for them. And the fact you can do that, have an advance, a week in advance to bring them that inner peace, I think it's hard to beat right there.
It's an inner peace for me too. And you and David and everybody.
Yeah, that's right.
I like your comment. Thank you so much. Yeah, it's a pleasure to switch to Thursdays. I think it's going to make it more available for everyone going forward. One thing we do hear a lot of too as well is on the settlement dates, so utilities are transferred to the buyer's name. We normally will go to the home beforehand that day, do a final walkthrough to make sure the tree hasn't fallen on the house or the dishwasher's gone. And sometimes sellers will innocently take them because in certain states, that's how business is done. So we just make sure it's all there. Now, at the closing, buyers are often surprised because they think they're going to be sitting across from the sellers. It's going to be a nervous experience. Number one is sometimes that does happen. The sellers are there, but if business is done properly, negotiations are complete. In the proper closing, in my dream, I try to make for all my buyers and the sellers is a day of celebration on both ends. One person doesn't have to lose for the other to gain. I love it when they're shaking hands, trading telephone numbers and saying, hey, let's do a barbecue and introduce you to some neighbors. I know I did my job right when that happens. Hey, Alex, nice to see you. Hey there, Amy, welcome aboard. But yeah, more often than not, today's modern world with technology, the sellers will be signing at one end, the buyers at another, at least for my deals, and you're probably never going to meet the other side. Is that true? You do obviously a lot more closings than me.
Yeah, that's pretty common where sellers and buyers are not sitting at the same table signing papers. And it's usually not, something weird going on, or it's usually not because the sellers don't want to meet the buyers in the same room. It's just because of convenience or travel schedules or for whatever reason. There's nothing strange about it.
Yeah, or the realtor has a trusted advisor that they want to suggest to their client. It's just the way it is.
Yeah.
Sometimes you'll have a seller and they'll say, hey, if you want to buy our house, we're in a bidding war. We are going to make it mandatory. You use, banana closing company. That's not allowed. It is the purchaser's right to choose who they want to close with. So there are certain things that are not allowed. That's not one. Buyers, you're welcome to choose anyone you want. We'll always be supportive, but most buyers just don't know a closing attorney. So that's why we have David. Anyone else have any questions or thoughts about closing? I got a fun one if I want to throw in, but I don't want to take all the time. Well, after the closing is the big day, guys. I don't like to call it a closing. It's not a closing. It's a beginning. Okay. It's a chapter to your new life. Again, we try to take photos with a sold sign in front of the new house. It's a day you remember the rest of your life. If you're a buyer, if you're a seller, you're moving on to your new chapter. So it's really a beginning, and I try to call it a celebration. So when I'm with my clients, I talk about your celebration day. It's that day you're getting the keys, you're the deed, getting the deed. Signing the papers, that's just the formality. This is really, it's a day we're all celebrating. So we try to make it extra special for you.
Yeah, we've shared a lot of lunches and happy hours and over the years with clients, and yeah, again, really enjoy that too, because it's all about helping people and meeting people and really creating friendships and lifelong relationships.
That's right.
Love it. One last thing is a question I get all the time. If one of you would answer, I obviously know, but the for conversation reasons is the EMD. What happens to the EMD or the deposit? EMD is kind of just lingo for us, but the earnest money deposit, how does that get applied to the buyer's sale and proceeds or payout?
Sure.
It's pretty simple.
It really just, at settlement, the way to think of it is the EMD or the deposit, along with the money buyers bring to closing, it all just goes in the same pot. And at settlement, there are different versions of a closing statement, but on the CD too, it's really a calculation, closing disclosure, from lenders. It's a calculation of all your debits and all your credits added up together, and then what's the delta? What does it come out to for how much money you need to bring left over after the money you've paid in up front on deposit, or sometimes even how much money you're going to get back. Not as common, but it's just it comes off the top. The earnest money deposit buyers put forth when they first get their contract ratified or signed by everybody, it just gets credited to them at settlement. That's it.
Goes towards your down payment and closing costs.
That's right.
Great.
And it's typically either held by the realtor or the title company.
Mm-hmm. And should a deal go south, meaning, for whatever reason, buyer and seller, within the rights of the contract, decide the contract's going to be void, I can't just be like, oh, here's your deposit back. I mean, that's what an escrow account is. We have to sign a release, both the buyer and the seller, to legally get those funds removed back to you. Sometimes, people don't know. I get it. They'll be like, hey, Mike, I changed my mind. You have a deposit back. It'll be my pleasure to start executing that, but it's not up to me. That's what escrow is. I don't have access to it.
Yeah.
So, guys, thanks so much for joining. Nicole, what's going on? Before we was just about to close it down, thank you for jumping on. Do you have any questions up front? We were just going over the upcoming closing. I know you have a few closings coming up, and if you have any anxieties or questions about what to expect at the closing date, or if nothing, just feel free to stay on. Let's see what here. Do you ever encounter buyer's remorse? Is a sales transaction over once signed, or can a buyer back out within a certain number of hours? I'm happy to answer this one. That's probably more me as the realtor. Buyer's remorse, of course, everyone gets buyer's remorse. And your dream property, your dream house, you want to buy and maybe raise a family in, you sign that contract, you're not sleeping that night. It's just the way it is. You don't spend $500,000, $750,000 without getting the willies. Now, what I tell all my buyers is a little bit of willies and a little bit of just, butterflies and wanting to rethink things, in the morning. That's normal. Now, if you are not getting any sleep at night, you're getting panic sweats, and this is going on, you need to let me know. Buyers will typically have one, maybe two unilateral opportunities to back out of a contract. The seller cannot negotiate on this. The easy one is if there's a home inspection, typically it's 7 days, the buyer can back out, get their earnest money deposit back. The second one is if there's a condo or homeowners association, is a general rule of thumb by the time the buyer receives those, they'll have 3 days to review them. If for any reason at all, they don't need a reason, they have 3 days to back out based on those documents. I believe that is actually Virginia law on negotiable. Yeah. And the second part is that can they back out? So they can back out based on those reasons I said. There could be some other reasons depending on the contract. After settlement, it is official. There's no going back after closing. Mm-hmm. But, prior to any windows a buyer or seller of mine has to backing out, I always let them know that window's coming. And not to scare them, I think it's just good consulting on my end. Let them know. Alex, thank you for saying that. You're welcome. It's our pleasure to be here. And I think we're just about there. And if there's anything else last minute, I think we're going to go ahead and close this one down.
Okay, thanks for tuning in.
Guys, next Thursday, 3 p.m., it's our new hours, and please bring your questions. Anyone has any anxieties, that's what we're here for. We want to help you all get your questions answered. Have a great week. Bye-bye.
See you guys.